Republican North Texas Congressman Pat Fallon from the 4th Congressional District. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Eye on Politics.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. So we're talking about data centers. They've certainly generated a lot of controversy nationwide and here in Texas and in rural areas, which your district includes some of those. Where are you on the concerns that people have about these?
I share the concerns that a lot of our constituents have. You have to do data centers like anything else smartly. If you don't get local buy-in, then I'm always going to, I'm going to be predisposed to being with the constituents and residents. If you do a data center where the local population has bought in, the local government has bought in, and the local leaders, then I don't think you really have much of an issue. But when there are concerns, and rightfully so, about noise, about property devaluation, they also want to make sure that you're not taking precious water resources, and you don't want to see your electric bill being increased because there's a giant data center maybe a mile down the street. So if it's done smartly where the locals buy in, and you could even see a situation where the data centers that are done right that we don't hear about that aren't controversial are the ones that usually go behind the meter, have their own direct energy source, usually with natural gas line that goes right to the data centers to power them, and then recycling their own water, having very limited water needs. And then even you could see a situation where if they have their own behind the meter energy source, it could actually sell or transfer some of the energy back to the grid, which could decrease property or electric bills. So that's a good thing. We just have to make sure that it's done correctly.
And what do you make of Governor Abbott, him basically putting a pause in place and requiring all the data center developers to, pass a comprehensive audit conducted by the Public Utility Commission of Texas and ERCOT, making sure of what you mentioned, that they're bringing their own water and reusing it, they're providing their own electricity, they're not causing rates to go up from customers who live in the area. What do you make of that?
I think it was a thoughtful, good step that the governor put in place. And he was listening to his constituents, over 30 million of them, and they share those concerns, as I do. The fact of the matter is, with AI and quantum and us competing with China, this is something that we're going to have to deal with in the future. And I think in New York State did a complete moratorium where they said there's just not going to be data centers in New York. Well, what if some of those local communities actually wanted them because it was going to create jobs and opportunity and maybe even decrease their electric bills? Again, if done correctly. So I think that was not the smart way to do it, because that's exactly what China wants. They don't want to see data centers in the United States. Now, having said all that, this is a rather interesting little twist. I met with Gwen Shotwell a couple days ago, and she is the COO of SpaceX. She was saying that in the future, SpaceX is planning on putting data centers in orbit, which is fascinating. And everything that they do seems to be science fiction until it's real. And so she was very serious about it, that's what they're going to do in the future, and they'll be more powerful because they don't have the degradation that you have when you have an atmosphere, et cetera. So I think this may be in some ways a limited issue. It has a half-life because of technology itself.
And President Trump was quoted as saying last week in an interview with Punchbowl that he expressed concerns about the opposition in Texas. And what did you make of that?
Well, I can see the president's point of view in so much as it is a national security need that we're going to have to advance in AI because we have such a near-peer competitor with China. And it would be a dark day for humanity if China ever gains hegemony in any regard, particularly over technology. If they get if they get in front of us with AI and/or quantum, we'll be a vassal state to China. And that's something that a lot of the time when we're talking about data centers, this doesn't come up. And so who's fueling this opposition as well? It seems to be rather well organized, because I got to tell you, nobody was talking about data centers a year ago, at least, because I've talked to other members of Congress from Texas, but everybody's talking about them now. But I like what the governor did, because you have to do it the right way. You have to get that local buy-in, and if you don't, then you go somewhere else.
And do you think Republicans could be held politically liable for, this backlash in November?
I don't think so, because we are listening to our constituents and we're saying we agree that you should do these. These are a necessity, but you have to do it the right way. And that's why I liked what the Governor Abbott was doing. I like the fact that we're having town halls to listen to constituents. I know that some of my state legislator friends in the House and the Senate are also sharing these concerns, because their communities have had town halls about that, or public hearings. And you, just like when they were when you do power lines across a city and it seems to scar the city, and I remember that from the city council days and getting all fired up and furious because there's some really ugly ones in even the town, my hometown in Frisco. That's why you have that community buy-in.
And let's talk about another topic that's generated a lot of buzz and a lot of controversy, and that's in the Big Bend National Park. The Trump administration, the CBP, Customs and Border Protection, is, we've seen the video, bulldozers going through the national park. People are upset about this. And CBP tells us that they are not building a wall, but they are building a new perimeter road. They're improving existing roads. They're putting up vehicle barriers in certain areas. But Democrats and even Republicans are not happy about it. Where are you on this?
Border security is a national security issue, and I'm with the president at lockstep on this, as far as, because he's been wildly successful with the border. Tonight, and doing some of the research for the town hall, I was looking at some of the bad old days under the Biden administration when you had month over month over 200,000 illegal border crossings. We hadn't had that in 25 years, and Joe Biden had 28 months of it, which is insane. And then he would tell us, if you remember, because I think it was a lie, or certainly wasn't true, that you needed congressional action to fix the border. Well, President Trump hasn't had any congressional action taken on the border, and yet he fixed the border, and the illegal crossings have collapsed. In the last, I just looked it up, last 14 months, there was 160,000 illegal border crossings. In the last 14 months, Joe Biden he had a month in December of 23 where it was 304,000 illegal border crossings in a month. President Trump has reduced that by 95%. So Big Bend, you don't want to have a loophole. You can have a border fence, you can have robust, vigorous enforcement, say here and here, but if there's a hole in the middle, that's where everybody's going to go. And I think that would affect Big Bend National Park to a greater detriment than temporarily, getting some construction equipment out there to build a road and such.
The people who are out there, and even some in law enforcement, say because they're basically vertical, it's like a vertical drop, and that isn't the area that people come in. They say technology could do this instead of all this construction and roads and other barriers. You disagree?
I think technology can certainly help as well. Technology plus roads equals strong, border security. And yes, Big Bend isn't ideal for folks that are crossing on foot. They'd have to be rather hardy to do that and in pretty darn good shape. But it doesn't mean that if you ignore it completely, you're going to probably see migration going through the park, which, if you've seen the result of mass unlawful migration, litter is everywhere. There is, human beings, when they have to use the facilities and such, and there aren't any there, it can affect the environment pretty to a substantial and significant degree. When you're talking about tens of thousands of people, we don't want to see that. I don't think we'll see that within the park, and so it's temporary. And I'm with the president on that.
Iran war. When you look at the polls, it's not doing very well in the polls. Do you worry that this war is going to hurt Republicans in the midterms?
So you're saying that a land war in Asia is not popular in America? Fancy that. I think that's from The Princess Bride too. Yeah, it's tricky. Every president or candidate, and that's the one thing that I always start this conversation with. You know what Obama, Biden, Harris, both Clintons, Bush 41 and 43, and President Trump have in common? They all said they would not tolerate a nuclear Iran. And Iran was danger close, within a razor's edge of becoming nuclear. So President Trump took action. Everybody else used words, he took action. It's difficult. And one of the things I've been saying in the myriad of interviews that I've done is there were good reasons that a rational person could give to not attacking Iran at that time. And there's also very good reasons a rational person could say to hitting Iran at that time. But once we do it, once we've bombed the country 16,000, 20,000 times, then it's in America's best interest to win, break the back of the IRGC, and have a regime change in Tehran. The problem that you have right now is the IRGC has in the neighborhood of 180,000 armed militant zealots. And they are perfectly fine with you or the United States or our allies in the region and elsewhere in degrading Iran's capability, say all the way down to Afghanistan, provided they get to rule over the ashes. And that's what's frightening, because there are some pragmatists in Tehran that do want to make some kind of a deal and say, you know what, let's just focus more domestically. Let's stop funding Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, but the IRGC and the hardliners aren't going to stand for that. So there's this internal conflict. Problem is, the hardliners and the IRGC have the guns. And that's where we've gone through this months-long impasse. So it's very complicated. I mean, Iran is a country about the size of Spain, France, the UK, and Germany combined. 93 million people, it is massive. And you saw how hard Iraq was for years. So this is, but here's the advantage that we have. 80% of that country, the population, hates their regime because they know they're in a giant open-aired prison and they want change as well.
So what's the solution, do you think? I mean, because you hear some people say, get out, end this war. Others say the president needs to finish the job. What do you say?
This is the same thing, Jack, honestly, that I've been saying since the damn thing started, which was it's different levels. One, you got to arm the Kurds in the north. I think that we could put special forces and hit them hard. We need also buy-in from our allies within the region, and we have to make sure that they're convinced that we're going to see the job through and they could join in a military action, and then arm the populace. So it's this whole, it's complicated, and it's a lot of moving parts, but I think that's what would, and really only that's going to break the IRGC, because you're not going to do it just from the air.
All right, I want to ask you one other question. So last question. You are intending to run for chairman of the House Oversight Committee.
I am running for chairman.
Okay,
yeah.
so you are running for chairman for House Oversight for next Congress. How are you going to win, and doesn't that mean the Republicans have to hold on to the House?
Yeah, so I'm running to be the top or lead Republican on the committee.
Okay.
So there's going to, if you are that person, one of two things happen. If you win the midterms and get to 218, you'll have a gavel and you'll be the chairman and you'll be dressed as such. And if you don't, you're going to be ranking member, which I really didn't know when they would say ranking member. I thought it was like the person that was on the longest. But no, that's what it means, is you're the ranking head of the minority on the committee. So it's going to be hopefully one of those two things. And the way you run is you run within the steering committee, of which I sit. There's 32 members, I believe, of the steering committee, and they're going to decide who the top Republicans are for each of the successive committees. We also populate the committees with the members as well. So I've been having a lot of conversations, sharing my plan and the vision, and it's looking good right now. We're unopposed, so maybe that means we got a 50% chance of winning. That may not, that may change as far as somebody jumping in the race, but it's
Are you
looking good.
expecting someone to jump in the race?
You better hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So, but just you have to run your own race. Even when I give my pitch to the steering committee, I'm not going to mention anybody else, whether I'm opposed or not. Look, this is who I am. This is what I've done for the 6 years on the committee. This is the plan moving forward. If you can vote for me, and if you think that I'm the best option, great, thank you, I appreciate it. If not, great, appreciate it, and we're going to work together anyway, just in a different capacity.
Republican North Texas Congressman Pat Fallon, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jack.
We appreciate it.
God bless.